Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to do something a little different. With the long awaited arrival of The Elder Scrolls 6 still about 5 years away, I've been thinking lately about how all the mods that have been created since Skyrim's 2011 release would impact the next game. And while it's a little unrealistic to expect Bethesda to whip together something on the scale of Legacy of the Dragonborn to ship with the game, I thought I'd go over some smaller and somewhat less known mods that Bethesda could actually consider working into the next Elder Scrolls. Some of these are going to be changes to things already implemented into the base game, and some are going to be entirely new additions that would be nice to see in a future Elder Scrolls title. So with that, let's jump right into a new video, or series depending on your reaction to these sorts of things, of 5 small mods Bethesda should consider for the Elder Scrolls 6. The first mod is a really simple and seamless integration into the game, but actually changes a huge dynamic in the ways you interact with your followers. Follower death and injury chance implements a very small chance of your followers permanently dying after suffering injuries in battle. The way this mod goes about this is it introduces 3 possible outcomes that may happen when a follower enters the bleeding out stage. The first, most common outcome, is that the follower will receive a small temporary injury which will last around 7 real life minutes, which reduces their maximum health, stamina and magicka by 25 points for the duration of the injury. Depending on the level and strength of your follower, this outcome happens around 75 to 88% of the time. The second outcome is fixed at a 10% chance and inflicts a permanent injury on said follower, which will forever cast a 50-point debuff to all their stats. When this happens, the follower will automatically wear a bandage around their head to notify you of their injury, and also serves as a death warning that they may not survive the next encounter. At this point, you can decide to send your follower home and preserve their life, or continue to have them fight by your side, which could lead to their permanent death. A follower dying is only about a 2 to 15% chance depending on the previous injuries and their current level, but this mod adds that extra level of weight to followers, and if you have particular companions of which you favour over others, it allows for some more interesting narratives that can be created across a playthrough. In my opinion, this type of system would be great for Bethesda to look into implementing into future titles. Although certain followers can be killed in the base game, having multiple outcomes can really help put the player on edge and actually care about the companions they choose to bring alongside them. The next mod is a really subtle addition to your game, but would be something that would definitely not go unnoticed in the Elder Scrolls 6. Conditional Idols is a mod which introduces multiple different idle animations dependent on conditional variables such as whether the player is cold, fatigued, or even just if it's raining outside. It also pairs nicely with the previous mod as it allows for some useful visual tells for when a follower is on low magicka or stamina. If the actor is outside in a snowstorm, then there's a 50% chance the cold idol will trigger. If the actor falls below 30% of their maximum stamina, then the fatigued idol will trigger. If the player has lost half of their health, or is in a starving state thanks to a realistic needs mod, then the injured idol will begin. When an actor falls below 30% of their total magicka or is poisoned, then the headache idol will play. After a good night's sleep and receiving the well rested bonus, there's a 4% chance the stretch animation will play. Under rainy weather conditions, there's a 70% chance that the shield cover idol will play, while a shield is equipped of course. And finally, if for whatever reason you happen to lose all your clothes, then the character will attempt to stay modest by covering themselves.
Shame!
This mod is something that would be a really nice feature to see introduced into the Elder Scrolls 6, and opens up a whole bunch of ideas for how certain conditions could affect other aspects of the game. Next up, following on from the animation side of things, I always thought that Skyrim was a little light on animations in its base game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it was necessarily lacking in any way, but it would have been nice to see more animated interactions between different NPCs and your character instead of just leaving it to imagination. A prime example of this would be the player character's wedding in the Temple of Mara. Although the game did a decent job of letting the player know that marriage is more of a formality in Skyrim rather than an emotional bond between two souls, it still felt a little lackluster, turning up to your wedding, which lasted about 20 seconds, going through a few dialogue choices and then just being married by the end of it. Well, with AWS, Animated Wedding Scene, this helps to fix that problem. It's not a huge mod and only adds about 5 more seconds to the wedding sequence, but it at least helps to make Skyrim's marriage scene a little more immersive. The next mod is actually a bit of a larger mod for Skyrim, but wouldn't be that big of a change for Bethesda while creating the next Elder Scrolls. Believable Weapons is a mod that changes all the weapon models in Skyrim to be more practical in a real life sense. And yes, I know Skyrim isn't real life, and I can hear some of you right now already saying,
"What, so you can have fire-breathing dragons and ice shards flying from the palms of your hands, but a weirdly shaped greatsword is too much for you?"
And first off, shut the f***. And secondly, it just looks better, okay? But it would be nice to see Bethesda stick to a more natural shape for weapons in the next game. Just something to think about. This mod changes everything from swords to greatswords to maces and battle axes and everything in between, and covers just about every weapon type in the game. It's a mod that I'll definitely be keeping in my load order, and I think at the very least it brings a nice change to all the weapons we've been using for the past 9 years. Finally, before we get into the last mod of this video, I've got a series of videos in the works that I'm really excited to start filming. Over the past week, I've deleted Skyrim, reinstalled it, and have been building a completely new mod list from scratch in preparation for a playthrough I'm going to be doing on my second channel. Now I know some of you are saying, yes, finally a Heavy Burns playthrough, and some of you are saying, oh great, another Skyrim playthrough. But I can assure you, this isn't going to be your regular Skyrim Let's Play. I've got a few ideas that I think you lot are really going to like, so when my second channel, Heavy Burns 2, I know, how creative, gets to 1,000 subs, I'll be posting the first episode, so go sub over there now if that's something you want to see. But I'll speak more about it in the future. Okay, anyway. The final mod for this video is an area which I always wished would be a bit more fleshed out in Skyrim's base game. Vampire Clans and Bloodlines is a mod which aims to replace generic vampires with vampires from 5 different and unique bloodlines. After the Dawnguard DLC, I always used to think, surely the Volkihar vampires aren't the only significant vampiric bloodline in the entirety of Skyrim, and this mod aims to make that a bit more distinct. And while it currently is a work in progress and only affects 2 vampire dungeons out of 10, this is something I'd love to see expanded on in the Elder Scrolls 6 with more detail. Currently, both occupants of Pine Moon Cave and Haymar Shame have been completely replaced by vampires of Clan Orlok, which are considered repulsive and even shunned by other vampire bloodlines, partly to do with their grotesque and hideous appearance, and partly because they have a fondness to hanging around rats. This is one of those mods that I'm really interested in seeing where it goes, and I think adds some nice variance to the vampiric factions in the game. And I think a main theme over this video has been just that, variance, and it would be great to see Bethesda implement a little more of that into future Elder Scrolls titles in whatever way they see fit. And if you know of any other mods that would fit another episode of this kind, then be sure to let me know in the comments of this video. But that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to go over and subscribe to my second channel, subscribe here if you haven't already, drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios, bitches.
So drink to our youth till the days come and gone, for the age of oppression